We'll all live together. It's perfect, Marcus announced, leaning against our kitchen counter with a self-satisfied smile. No messy divorce, no legal hassles, no property division. Just one big happy arrangement. I continued chopping carrots, my knife hitting the cutting board with precise, steady strokes. My name is Julia, and at 35, I was listening to my husband of 8 years explain why his 24-year-old girlfriend should move into our house. Olivia's lease is up next week, he continued, mistaking my silence for acceptance. She's young fun, she'll bring some excitement into our lives. You've been so focused on your writing lately, this could be good for all of us. The knife paused mid-chop. I looked up at Marcus, taking in his expensive new haircut. The designer watch Olivia had helped him pick out, the eager gleam in his eyes. And where exactly will Olivia be sleeping? I asked, my voice steady. He shifted uncomfortably. Well, I thought, maybe we could convert your study into her room. For now. Of course, my study. The space where I'd spent the last 3 years writing my mystery novels. The ones Marcus dismissed as a hobby even though they paid for his new car. For now? I echoed, resuming my chopping. You know what I mean, Jules. We'll figure it out as we go. The important thing is keeping things unofficial. No lawyers, no paperwork, just adults making adult decisions. I scraped the carrots into the pot, watching them splash into the simmering broth. Sounds perfect, I said quietly. Marcus blinked, clearly thrown by my easy agreement. Really? I mean, yes, of course it does. I knew you'd understand. When does she arrive? Tomorrow afternoon. I'll help her move her things and while you're at your writing group. I nodded, adding a pinch of thyme to the pot. Perfect timing. He stood there for a moment, waiting for the argument that wouldn't come. Finally, he pushed off from the counter. Right, well, I should call Olivia. Let her know everything's set. After he left, I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to my sister Anna. It's happening, just like we thought. Her response was immediate. Everything ready? Almost. Need one more day. I'd seen this coming for months. The late nights at the office, the new clothes, the sudden interest in social media. Marcus wasn't exactly subtle. 2 months ago, I'd found a receipt for dinner at Le Petit Bistro. Definitely not from a business meeting, since Marcus hated French food. That's when I started preparing. The next morning, I left for my writing group as usual. Marcus barely looked up from his phone as I headed out, too busy texting Olivia about their grand plans. He didn't notice the extra bag I carried or the fact that I'd worn my comfortable walking shoes instead of my usual heels. I drove to the coffee shop where my writing group met every Thursday, parked my car, and waited. At exactly 2:15 p.m., Anna pulled up beside me. Ready? She asked as I climbed into her car. More than ready. We drove past our house at 3:00 p.m., just in time to see Marcus helping a young blonde carry boxes through our front door. Olivia was exactly as I'd imagined. Pretty in that obvious way that made me feel simultaneously old and relieved. Nice shoes, Anna commented dryly, noting Olivia's impractical heels. Those'll look great when she's taking out the trash. If she stays long enough to learn where the trash goes, I replied. We drove to the modest apartment building across town where I signed a lease last week. Everything was already set up, furniture delivered, utilities connected, kitchen stocked. I'd been planning this move for weeks, ever since I'd overheard Marcus on the phone with Olivia, plotting their perfect solution. You're sure about this? Anna asked as she helped me carry in the last of my bags. I looked around the sunny apartment, at the desk positioned perfectly by the window where I could write, at the peaceful silence that wouldn't be interrupted by Marcus's complaints or Olivia's giggles. Absolutely sure. What time will they figure it out? I checked my watch. Probably around dinner time when they realize I'm not coming back to cook for them. Anna laughed. And the best part? I pulled out my phone, opening the email I'd received that morning. My new book deal. The advance is enough to buy Marcus out of the house, which he won't know until my lawyer contacts him tomorrow. And since he's so against legal hassles, he'll have to explain to Olivia why their perfect arrangement suddenly involves moving out. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Where are you? Thought you'd be home by now. I typed back, making adult decisions. You understand. Then I turned off my phone, poured 2 glasses of wine, and sat down with my sister to wait for the chaos we knew would come. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a big confrontation. It's simply letting people face the consequences of their own brilliant plans. To new beginnings, Anna said, raising her glass. I clinked mine against hers. And to perfect arrangements. Outside, the sun was setting on one chapter of my life, but I wasn't afraid of the dark. After all, I wrote mysteries for a living. I knew all about plotting the perfect twist ending. The first signs of Marcus's panic arrived around 7 p.m. when Anna and I were halfway through our takeout dinner. My phone, now turned back on, lit up with a barrage of messages. Jules, where are you? This isn't funny. We need to talk about this like adults. Answer your fate only. The last one made me smile. Marcus had always hated being ignored. It threatened his carefully constructed image of control. I could picture him pacing our kitchen, no, his kitchen now, running his hands through his perfectly styled hair while Olivia perched uncertainly on one of our bar stools. Should I reply? I asked Anna, showing her the messages. She shook her head, taking another bite of pad thai. Let him stew. He wanted an arrangement without legal hassles. Well, this is about as unofficial as it gets. I had just muted my phone when someone knocked on my apartment door. Anna and I exchanged glances. We weren't expecting anyone, and only 3 people knew where I was. Through the peephole, I saw Marcus's mother, Helen, standing in the hallway. Did you tell her where you were? Anna whispered. No, but she's friends with my real estate agent. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Helen burst in, her designer handbag swinging wildly. Julia, what is going on? Marcus just called me in a complete state, saying you've disappeared. And then I hear from Susan that you've rented an apartment. This is madness. I gestured for her to sit down. Would you like some pad thai? Pad? No, I don't want pad thai. I want to know why my son is at your house with some child, and you're here eating takeout like nothing's wrong. Nothing is wrong, I said calmly. Marcus wanted an informal living arrangement. I'm simply accommodating his wishes. Helen sank onto my new couch, her face cycling through confusion, anger, and something that looked suspiciously like admiration. He told me about his ridiculous plan this morning. I told him he was being a fool, that no self-respecting woman would agree to such a thing. He's right about one thing, I said, sitting across from her. We don't need legal hassles. The house is in my name. My first book advance paid the down payment. The car he's so proud of, bought with my hobby money. Tomorrow, my lawyer will contact him with a very simple proposition. Take a fair cash settlement and leave, or we can make things very official very fast. Helen was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she opened her handbag and pulled out a small silver flask. I knew I liked you for a reason, she said, taking a delicate sip. Marcus gets this from his father, you know. The entitlement, the magical thinking. When did you start planning this? 2 months ago, when I found the dinner receipt. I knew Marcus, he'd want to have his cake and eat it too. So I started moving money, making arrangements. The new book deal was just perfect timing. And the girl, Olivia, has no idea she's about to become homeless again. I doubt Marcus mentioned that part of his perfect plan. Helen took another sip from her flask, then held it out to me. You know, when Marcus first brought you home, I thought you were too quiet, too agreeable. I see now you were just watching, waiting, planning. I accepted the flask, feeling the smooth metal against my palm. I write mysteries, Helen. I know all about misdirection. My phone buzzed again. Marcus had switched to email. Julia, you're being ridiculous. Come home and we can discuss this like rational people. Olivia is very upset. This isn't the way adults handle things. Helen read the email over my shoulder and snorted. Rational people? Coming from my son, who thought moving his mistress into his marital home was a sound decision. Should I respond? I asked, enjoying this newfound alliance with my mother-in-law. Oh yes, Helen said, a wicked gleam in her eye. Let's help Marcus understand exactly how adults handle things. I typed out a reply. Dear Marcus, I agree completely. Adults handle things properly. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow with a settlement offer. Since you're against legal complications, I'm sure you'll appreciate the simplicity of the arrangement. Please ensure Olivia takes her shoes off when walking on my hardwood floors. Best regards, Julia. Send it, Helen commanded, and I did. The response was immediate. My phone started ringing. Marcus's face flashed on the screen, but I declined the call. He'll go to your writing group next Thursday, Helen predicted. He'll expect to find you there, to charm you back. The group meets at a different coffee shop now, I said. They were quite understanding when I explained the situation. Anna, who had been quietly watching this exchange, finally spoke up. You know what the best part is? When Marcus tells this story later, he'll have to admit that his wife outsmarted him while he was busy playing house with his girlfriend. Helen stood up, straightening her designer suit. Julia, dear, I'll handle damage control with the family. Just keep me updated. This is the most entertainment I've had since Marcus's father tried to convince me that his secretary was just helping him organize late-night meetings. After Helen left, Anna and I sat in comfortable silence, the remains of our dinner spread before us. My phone had gone quiet. Perhaps Marcus was finally realizing that his perfect arrangement had backfired spectacularly. What do you think they're doing right now? Anna wondered. I glanced at the clock. 8:30 p.m., probably realizing that neither of them knows how to cook. The housekeeper doesn't come until Tuesday, and all the takeout menus were in my desk drawer. The desk drawer in your study. The one Olivia's boxes are probably blocking right now. We both burst out laughing, the kind of deep, cleansing laughter that makes everything feel lighter. Outside, the city lights twinkled, and I felt a profound sense of peace. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but for now I was exactly where I needed to be. My phone lit up with one final message from Marcus. This isn't over. I smiled, thinking of the settlement papers being delivered to his office first thing tomorrow morning. No, I murmured, it's just beginning. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside my new apartment window instead of Marcus's daily complaints about his coffee not being strong enough. The peace was interrupted by an urgent call from my lawyer, David. The papers have been delivered, he reported. You should expect some resistance. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a call from Marcus. I declined it, putting my phone on silent as I started my morning writing routine. The words flowed easily. Amazing how creative you can be when you're not managing someone else's emotional weather. Around noon, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Olivia standing there, looking considerably less polished than she had yesterday. I opened the door. Julia, she said, her voice shaking. We need to talk. I leaned against the doorframe. About what? Marcus, you didn't tell me the house was yours. He said everything was joint property, that it wouldn't be complicated. She twisted her hands together. Now he's saying we have to leave by the end of the month. Sounds like you and Marcus have a lot to discuss. Please, he said. I gave up my apartment. I don't have anywhere else to go. I felt a flicker of pity, quickly replaced by resolve. That's funny. Yesterday you were quite happy to take my home. Now you're worried about not having one. She flushed. It wasn't like that. Marcus said you were okay with it, that you understood modern relationships, and you believed him. A man willing to move his girlfriend into his wife's house without any legal protection. I shook my head. Think carefully about what that says about his character. The realization dawned slowly on her face. He said the same thing about my apartment lease. That we didn't need paperwork, that it was better to keep things simple. Let me guess, he suggested you give up your lease before discussing any of this with me? She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. Olivia, I said, softening slightly, take some free advice from someone who writes about manipulative characters for a living. People who avoid legal hassles are usually the ones you need legal protection from. After she left, I called Helen. You'll never guess who just visited, I began. Oh, I can guess, Helen replied. Marcus called me this morning, ranting about how unreasonable you're being. I told him he's lucky you're offering a settlement at all. By the way, have you checked your email? I opened my laptop to find an email from my publisher. The early reviews for my new book were in, and they were glowing. One line caught my eye. A masterful tale of deception and justice served cold. If they only knew. Later that afternoon, David called again. Marcus has agreed to the settlement, he said, though he did try to argue that his emotional investment in the house should count for something. I laughed. The same emotional investment he was willing to share with Olivia. Exactly. He's signing the papers tomorrow. The money will be transferred directly to his account, and he has 30 days to vacate the property. And Olivia? Not mentioned in any of the legal documents, interestingly enough. That evening, Anna came over with champagne. We stood on my small balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. "You know what I love most about this?" Anna said, filling our glasses. "You gave him exactly what he wanted. No legal hassles, no messy divorce. Just a simple property transaction. Sometimes the best revenge is simply turning someone's words against them." I replied, thinking of all the times Marcus had dismissed my writing as mere stories. My phone buzzed with a text from Helen. "Dinner next Sunday. I want to hear all about your new book." I smiled, showing the message to Anna, who knew my happy ending would include my mother-in-law. "Soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law," Anna corrected. "No," I said, thinking of Helen's quiet strength during her own divorce years ago. Some family ties are chosen, not given. A week later, I drove past my old house and saw Marcus and Olivia arguing on the front lawn, moving boxes scattered around them. Through my open window, I caught snippets of their conversation, something about broken promises and trusts. I didn't slow down. Their story wasn't mine anymore. Back in my apartment, I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. My cursor blinked at the top of a fresh page as I typed. Chapter 1. Sometimes the perfect crime isn't taking something that doesn't belong to you. It's simply letting go of what does. My phone buzzed one last time with a message from Marcus. "I hope you're happy with yourself." I looked around my peaceful apartment at the life I'd built from the ashes of his betrayal and typed back, "I am. Thank you for asking." Then I turned back to my novel, ready to write my own story on my own terms in my own home. After all, isn't that what happy endings are really about? Some people might call what I did revenge. I prefer to think of it as poetic justice, served without legal hassles, just as Marcus wanted. Sometimes the best plot twists are the ones we write for ourselves.